Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's definitely a big scene, different scene since the last few days. The snow is mostly melted. Obviously, shaded areas and large piles are still around, but man, it's really nice out today, and it's supposed to be even warmer tomorrow. So, may not even have a jacket tomorrow. A lot of things are going on. And strange things that probably were a little unexpected, maybe for a lot of you. And they may not necessarily be a bad thing, but I think that because they're unusual and because many of them are a very big shift, there could be, and some of it's just interesting news. Trump said today that the tariffs against Canada and Mexico will go through. So they start at got a little reflection there from a watch. So president said that they will happen, 25% tariffs. There are tariffs being imposed on many other countries. It's interesting, though, that our relationship, it seems, with Russia has dramatically changed. And there's been talk in the last few days of building a trade relationship with them more directly. And today, Russia said that they could provide more than enough aluminum to the United States to stabilize that market. There's talk of direct trading, of all of the sanctions that were against Russia, of removing those and establishing this big open trade with Russia. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it is different, and it's going to shake some stuff up. The markets, I don't know if they're reacting from that. There's talk of and a popular report talked about this today, I think also, or yesterday, about how a lot of people, the big players in the market, are kind of getting out, and cryptocurrency's taken a big hit today, and it's possible, it looks like, that the stock market's going to be reacting to it also. So that's all going on at the same time of all these different kinds of shifts and movements in trade. And it's also part of, or Europe is part of it also. Europe is saying that they're going to try to raise the money to start funding Ukraine. And the talks of peace between Ukraine and Russia are going in kind of a strange area. The talks of peace are between the United States and Russia. And Ukraine's not really part of that. And Russia says that they will continue their bombardment on Ukraine until this peace deal is worked out, except Ukraine says that they don't really want part of that unless they're directly involved in it. I do see that argument. On the other hand, it's been the United States, it's been the one that's predominantly funding this. If Europe starts switching over and starts funding it, well, that's going to be a big game change, because if Ukraine does not accept these negotiations and Europe does not accept them, and they try to go it on their own, which, I mean, it doesn't seem like that they could likely do that for a long period of time, but if they do, that means that the United States and Russia will be allies against Ukraine and Europe. That's a position we've never really been in before. And so who knows how that's going to work out. And Ukraine is saying that they don't want to be broken up. Trump is saying that it needs to be a buffer zone, and some of it's going to go, some of the land that's taken goes to Russia. His tone, and this is the difference. Before he took office, and then shortly after he took office, a lot of the things that he and his people were saying sounded like that they were definitely supporting, throwing all their support still behind Ukraine. In fact, he even said that. He said that they would continue to fund and support Ukraine. And now it's been, since these negotiations with Russia, it's like new talking points have come up, completely new talking points, that Ukraine started the war. I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying it's a new talking point, that Russia is the rightful heir to all of those lands that they've been taking. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that. I'm just saying it's different. And that the United States will no longer support in any way Ukraine, but they're now buddying up with Russia. And that's something that's very different. And that was not really talked about. It was talked about peace, but it wasn't talked about a shifting of alliances. And I think that that's a pretty big deal, and it's all of a sudden. There's just so many little nuances and things that are happening that's very different. Several countries in Europe are talking about putting troops in Ukraine as peacekeepers, and Russia all of a sudden says they're okay with that. They weren't before, but now they are. The United States says that we're not. Trump's and the president and his administration says we're not. We were. He was okay with that, and now we're not. So there's been a lot of big changes that's going on there. Zelensky's even indicated that he would be willing to step down as the president if it meant a peace deal. Now, here's the thing, and this has not been talked about by just about anyone. Because of Ukraine's form of government, his position as president is not nearly as important as the president of the United States. Their form of government is more closely related to, say, France, where they have a president and a prime minister. And honestly, their Congress, they don't call it that, but their Congress and the prime minister over that actually holds the majority of the power. And they're the ones that have declared martial law, and they're the ones that are not holding new elections. It's not actually Zelensky. So it is strange how this is all working out, and that Zelensky has been the figurehead leader and now is getting all the bad publicity when he could just say, hey, it's not me that's doing the martial law. It's our Congress, it's our governing body and the prime minister. But he's not. So it's strange. There's just weird things going on. And I just want to point that out, that this has all been quite strange that's happened, and it makes me believe that there's definitely some talk behind closed doors that are probably not anything that we even can imagine that's causing all of these sudden shifts. They may not be bad, but I'm not quite convinced of that. Shifting alliances in this way, and I'm not a fan of Europe, but I'm not a fan of Russia necessarily. They both have their issues. When Trump last week called Zelensky a dictator, Vladimir Putin isn't much different. I mean, yes, they do hold elections, but it's pretty clear that the elections are very controlled, and they're not free and open. But then again, I guess you could say that also about the United States. So the term dictator, I think, should be very loosely used, because you could throw that term around a lot with a lot of the people involved in this. These things that are happening, I don't know. I've got to, because here's the thing: when we start shifting alliances like that, in this way, if you look at what's happened in the past 6 months to a year, Russia has aligned themselves with Iran and China, and they've aligned themselves with Iran and Syria in the Middle East against Israel. And there's been talk over the past year or two of not getting along between Russia and Israel, and the potential for Russia to support Iran against Israel. But then now all of a sudden we're buddying up with Russia, and Russia had all these tight alliances with China, but now we're buddying up with Russia. The lines are getting blurred. And I think the bigger point that I'm trying to get to is that this idea that there are defining lines, and that there are good guys and bad guys, and that, we're just believing these narratives that, well, Russia is this person, and Russia and China is this, and we're this, and Israel's that. They're all buddies. They're all part of the same club, folks. That's what I've been telling you for years. And the shifting of alliances, I think, just proves that we're buddies with them on this day, but we're not buddies with them when it comes to this other thing. And to me, it's getting this. It's feeling more and more like this kind of Great Reset, New World Order, Agenda 2030 plan. It may be different, but it still is getting that feeling that all of these alliances are shifting and blurring and overlapping. Now there's talk that, well, maybe by May 1st, there could be a ceasefire. We were told all along through the campaign that the war would end in the first 24 hours. And now it's, then it was by March 1st, then it was April 1st. Now they're saying by May 1st, they're hoping to have this all wrapped up and come to some agreement by May 1st. And so we keep pushing the goalpost back, and we're changing the rules, and we're changing alliances, and it's all quite strange. And it makes me think that there's something bigger going on. And I think what that bigger thing is that it's simply more proof that it's all a big club over there. All of these world leaders, these elites, it's all part of a big club. And they have to shift things around and change things around so that different segments of society think that they're getting, they're throwing a bone to them. They're getting what they want. So now we're going to support this. It's kind of like up until just this week, most of the conservatives and MAGA people absolutely despised the FBI. But now that the FBI has a new leader, the FBI is the good guys. And yes, I can see that putting new leadership in can change the direction, but the FBI is still doing the same thing. And there's not really been ever a point in its existence that it was really the good guys for the American people. And so it's, it's like, oh, well, now they're the good guys. This is part of that confusion. This is part of that chaos that I have talked about, that so many people have just completely disagreed with me. This shifting around. Can it end up being a good thing? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. It's also possible that how Biden was running things, it could have ended up being good. Much less likely, I think. But still, it's always that possible chance. But I think what we're seeing here is just a bigger part of the plan. Maybe the people playing the game, they've changed. They've changed positions. But it's still the same game is being played, folks. And we have to be aware of that and stop just falling for the talking points that, oh, all of a sudden now this is good. Russia bad, Russia good, China bad, China good, all of this stuff. Because this is how they play this game. I mean, you go back and I said it's very early on in the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict that all we were doing was creating another enemy. Zelensky was the good guy, and we're sending him all these weapons, and it was going to be no different than Saddam or Gaddafi or anything else. That at some point he was going to turn in the enemy, and now we're fighting all these same people that have weapons that we gave them. And that is the game. That's part of how they play this game. And it causes Americans to constantly shift their alliances. It's no different than race and gender and religion. Oh, now these are the good guys. Oh, no, now they're the bad guys. Oh, we like these people. No, now we hate these people. It's this divisiveness. It's this divide and conquer thing. And we need to be aware of it because again, it doesn't matter who's the president when it comes to this. It's all being done. It's all part of the plan. It's all part of the PSYOP. And we have to be aware of it. I'm not saying that President Trump is the bad guy. I'm not saying that it's nothing like that. It's just pay attention to how these things are being done and how these alliances are shifting and how, goalposts are being constantly moved and how the good guys are now the bad guys and the bad guys are the good guys. And it's all to keep everything in this state of confusion and this state of conflict and this state of divisiveness. Because in the end, the elites, the people at the top of the food chain, they're the ones that's wanting to win. And so they have to keep changing things up and moving things around so that at some point they've got everyone on their side. Even though everyone doesn't like everyone, they're all on their side and they all believe that what they're doing is the right thing. It's confusing, it is. And I don't claim to have it all figured out. But when you start to see these rapid changes in alliances and changes in what we said we were going to do and goals and things and narratives that seem to be changing on a regular basis, to me it just all starts to fit into that kind of global new world order plan. It's the golden age that we're told is about ready to happen. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order. and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.